A whole village to raise a child. It's not just the parents. As an adult, any child that you come into contact with, whether it's your child, your godchildren, the younger children in your family, you have a duty and a responsibility to help the parents to raise that child or those children. So if you take anything from their presentation, Caroline came from a fantastic foundation, and it's proof that the foundation sets how the story will end. So thank you very much to auntie, uncle and cousin. I must admit, I don't know how I would have coped if someone had cut off my hair. But you know, but it's how Caroline has grown up into a successful, fantastic, educated, inspiring and wonderful young woman. Let me hand over to my beautiful, educated and demure co-host, Dr. Mary.
Thank you. You're very welcome. He's also very creative. I don't know if I mentioned that I went to school with this wonderful lady more than 25 years ago. And even then, she was just very precocious, very creative, was writing a novel at the age of early teens.
It's still not finished.
And you know, life is really amazing. So we reconnected this year after not seeing each other since secondary school.
Wow.
Again, you know, just amazing, creative, always supportive, and always again a person of the community, encouraging, empowering people. So I'm also really honoured and happy and blessed to be here, and I'm taking so much away from this event as well. So Caroline, continue, I think your name, and Mugabe, really that sharing is really, really fruitful, and it's evidence of your name. You're really carrying it well. So I'm just going to leave it up to Caroline. It's her evening, and just in terms of her accomplishments, I think, you know, when you read her book, you understand where she's come from, and an inspiration to many people. And just as a quick summary of all the great things she's done, she's an owner and founder of the think tank 720, founder of Memory Lane Psychological Services. She's founder of the UK Youth Forum, Uganda UK Youth Forum, Deputy Youth Representative of the Baganda Kingdom, the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland, and I understand that's the first time that a woman has ever held that post, and she was personally invited by the King of Baganda to hold that post, so really, really inspiring. So we know she was raised in Uganda, she came to the UK, she's a certified mental health specialist. She has ITEP training, she safeguards adults at risk, and also those with suicidal background and history. We know she's an accomplished author, and I think there's more books coming our way. And it's great that she uses her personal experience and her academic experience and her life experience to really encompass that into a book, and to make us think a lot, really. A book makes us think a lot. And then there's more. So she's a speaker, radio presenter, she's on TV, she trains like 500 times a day. I can't keep up with all the information that Caroline's kind of puts through the day. But without much further ado, Caroline Mugabe, please come and tell us about your book.
Wow. Once again, thank you so much, guys, for coming up. Thank you, family. You know, it's only my family that can make me cry. I don't cry a lot. But yeah, when I was young, I was a little bad girl. You'll find out later on. So right now, I just want to take you through the journey of my book and basically how it started. I did a focus group. My mentor came here. You saw him, Mr. Jack Orechi. Mr. Jack, can you come up, please? It was because of this this man, how we met, you know, these are the kind of elders that take responsibility and accountability for the young youth in the community. So him and Mr. William Cutter took responsibility. I had given up on my community, actually. I had started a sort of initiative for within the Ugandan Convention UK, and this man that used to lead the Ugandan Convention UK, you know, stole my idea, let me down, and then there's another person that came, and well, God sent sort of an angel, because I had given up on my community. And then when this man came, Mr. William, he had you know, said to me, you know, you have to come back. I met him at one mental health conference, because I'm a psychologist. We go to all these conferences, we get invited to all these conferences, and I found out that he's Ugandan, so we started talking. So then he came and said to me, you know, don't give up on your community, this is what we're going to do, let's strategize and go back to the drawing board. And therefore, through him, I met Mr. Jack, and also there are responsible elders in the community. If just Mr. Jack tells you what he does, he's a very high-profile man, but he plays himself down, you know. He's a very important person in Uganda, by the way. He was a very important. When you read his book, Taking Back African Habitat, you will get to know who he is. So I've never seen a man with such humility, humbleness, someone who takes time for you to answer your questions. So I am so humbled to have these mentors with me, and I've got other shoulders that I stand on. So when I told Mr. Jack I want to write a book, because he had written a book, and I said, actually, I want to write a book about what my discipline, what I studied, identity, because I was struggling, battling my identity. As you had my family speak, my identity was up and down, upside down. So I struggled a little bit about my identity. Then after I met mentors, after I came through uni, then I started thinking deeper about who I am, who am I, what's my name, where do I get my name for? As Mr. Jack came and he was telling you, like, I wanted to know where I'm from, the real grassroots of my beginnings. So out of that came up this book, Challenges of Identity, Psychological Perspective, because I came from a psychological perspective, so I can only write about what I know, you know. But I just want to thank you, Mr. Jack, for mentoring me. And also, obviously, there's more to come, but I just wanted you to introduce him. I'll bring him back later. But yeah, so I did a focus group of my book. So this is what you're about to watch now, is a focus group. I invited people into my house psychologists, we like to assess stuff before we write about the subject. So this is my focus group on the actual book and what happened. Yeah?
But then I know
women, you go to their house, they've got the child there, you know, but it's not, to me, at the same time, I don't think it's unhealthy, because if you want to start a relationship with a guy, it's good to introduce your kids from the beginning, so that you know, especially, what he said, he doesn't support the fact that if any woman his child don't like, is not going to have a way with him.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. And I understand what you said when you said, like, the woman might like the child, but the child don't like the woman. So what do you do in that situation? You've got to let the child know that, listen, this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you just have to know. At the same time, you said you have to bring them into it, knowing that you don't like some people, you don't like some people, but you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Fantastic. So the next question would be, can dating a man or a woman from a different culture affect your identity?
Yes.
Do you know what? I think yes and no. Like both of my exes were white. It just strengthens my identity because I identify as African. Even though I was born in London, I identify. I'm like Cameroonian.
Sorry, you said, Emma, did you say both of your exes?
Yeah.
So what is the character?
So no, that's our experience, so we need to observe.
I'm only revealing what I want to reveal, so don't be asking me anything upon that, yeah? I'm joking. No, both of my exes, I only say both of them because those are actually current actual relationships I actually fully engaged in. Yeah, both of them were white, and that just strengthened my identity with myself as a black person, as an African African woman. I mean, I find that quite.
So explain to me.
You've never been with a black guy, huh?
I've been with black guys, but only on more physical level. There hasn't been sort of like any emotional attachment.
Okay.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Whoa! If I've got to be completely real, my relationship with my dad, and also my mum's relationship with my dad as well. So when I was younger, my mum and my dad were always fighting, no matter what. And then my mum would always be like, to my older sisters, because all of my sisters are older than me, I've got 5 older sisters, she'd say to us, I'd rather you bring a white guy home than a black guy, than you bring a black guy home.
You know what I'm saying is, all people fight.
Yeah, it's true.
You can't say, oh, because you're black, you're going to be fighting all the time.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but either way, that's my reality, and that's my experience, and that was my mum's reality, and that was her experience, so she was only able to have time with me. She got it wrong, but either way, you know, I'm at a point where I'm an adult now, and I'm able to define my own life
So you look at your dad, black guy, huh?
myself. I love black men.
Oh, yeah? Conversation's going.
It's going completely different.
The question was.
I was actually doing really well in answering it.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, stop.
Yes, Emma. The question was, can dating a man or woman from a different culture affect your identity? If you haven't shaped it, can it affect your identity?
Yeah. So mine with both of my white exes only stems to strengthen my relationship with sort of my identity as a Cameroonian, even more so because we were I was very open to challenging both of my exes in terms of like the things they would say, their behaviour, the little like silly like racist jokes that they would make. And they thought, as white men, having goodness knows how much privilege that they were able to say that. So I would always challenge them on the things that they would say, the jokes that they would make, and any opinions that they had. But then that just made me think, well, no, it just reinforced my love for myself, for my culture, for the traditions that we have. Because even though I was born and raised in London, my parents were very, very on it with me and my siblings in terms of our culture, whether that was music, dance, food, customs, just different ways of living, and that was brought out because at least then for myself I was like, okay, well at least I know who I am. Whereas for both of my exes, they have grown up in very multicultural Britain, so they don't have a strong awareness of what it is to actually be, you know, in England.
So sorry, yes. You can So basically, that was a chapter in my book that I was researching before I wrote it, because before I wrote the book, I did experiment, investigations, observations, and mentorship before you write a book. So that was a chapter that me and one of my lecturers at uni, she wrote about positive psychology. Her name is Bonniwell. She was mentoring me also through this book. And she said, do a focus group in your house or somewhere and see what comes out of that experiment. So through this chapter, it's called Relationship Identities. You'll find it in the book, one of the chapters. We found that if you date another man or woman from another culture, there is going to be individual differences. Through the kids and through yourselves, through family and anything around you, even in the household, there are definitely going to be individual differences. But it's how you mold that individual differences to come and make you yoke together. This is where the journey begins. So that was one of the chapters. Then I wrote about social identity. Let me just explain what identity is in itself. Miss Malvina tried to explain it, and we all try to explain it. So for me, what I found in my research, that identity, there's a difference between the subject and the object when it comes to identifying things. So that's a table, that's an object. That's already identified. And it's consolidation, it's called consolidated identity. Now, a subject, which is me, a human being, is subjected to fluid identity. It's always changing according to different cultures, according to different situations, environmental circumstances. So the subject and object, they have individual identities, different identities together. But with the subject is where the identity is found difficult to initiate in every environment or situation that you're in. Unless you know who you are, cultural identity, relationship identity, social identity, organizational identity, which way you work, you know, self-identity, developmental identity. A human being has a lot of things to deal with when they are developing in different process of life. So that's why everybody is subjected to change. Situations changes and character changes. There's a difference between character and personality. So your character might still stay the same in different environments, but then your personalities, as we are now, we all have different personalities here because of the environment that we're in. So how we identify ourselves now is different from how we identify ourselves in our household or to our friends. So this is the book, Challenges of Identity. I got my friends, I experimented with my friends. Most of them you saw on there. I experimented with different age groups. The book has no specific age. As you can see, it has no color neither, because identity is for everybody. It doesn't matter what color you are, African, white, Indian, Asian, you name it. But one thing that I saw in cultural identity is that specifically African people, that they seek to find themselves in double consciousness. What I mean by double consciousness, we have different thought processes in how we think and feel about our culture, about who we are. And I realized that that is to do with the environment that we've been taken away from. Some of us have been taken away from Africa. So when you're taken away from your natural habitat, what happens when you've been brought back in a habitat that does not belong to you? Generally, there will be some confusion. That's what I was going through. So I was taken away from my natural habitat by my mom for, you know, milk and honey, as they will call it. This is a land of milk and honey. But what happened was, when I was in Africa, it's a land of milk and honey. This is a land of milk and honey, but yet there's depression in this land. How do I find myself? You know, so it's also a beautiful land at the same time. But what I found when I traveled in Uganda and I went back home, I realized I wasn't accepted. I was called a white woman. In my language, it's called Mzungu. You know, the way how I behave, whatever. And then when I come here, even though I've got a British passport, they say to me, "You're African. You're recognized, either you're black or African, either way, regardless whether you've got a British passport or not." So that's the identity, the double consciousness. There's a man called W.D. Du Bois. He was a psychologist, he was an educator, and he spoke about that double consciousness that you have with yourself every day. You have it in your relationship, you have it in your workplace, because even right now at workplaces, there's a double consciousness of, really, who am I? Does anyone go through that? From a daily day to day. Yeah, so there's a double consciousness as in human beings. But you know, this book was a journey for me to find myself, and I found myself within this book. I found myself because nobody knows you than you know yourself. You are the one that identify yourself. You are the one that will identify what you are, what you want to be, but the most important thing is the foundations that you come from. You see, that's why I was crying for when my family were talking, not because, you know, because I know where I come from. You understand? And they tried to shape and mold me in that, but I didn't know, because when you don't know, you're still in that juvenile young stage, the youth stage. So I would like to, you know, encourage all the young people here and the young adults and the elders to take responsibility and accountability for the tools that you may have that may develop a next person, right? This weekend I was looking after my friend's child, and my friend, she's there, Simone, and Naima said to me, "Auntie, I want to be like you when I grow up." I said, "What?" she's 15, right? Yeah. She's 15. And I said to her, why is that? She said, because you're just so organized, you know where you're coming from. You know, I like the way what you do, your speeches, where you go. I want to be a businesswoman like you. And I said to her, first love yourself. Know who you are first. Don't aspire to be encouraged by someone else. But what I am have nothing to do with you. You can take me as an example, but don't try to be like me. Everybody here is an individual, and everybody here has the ability to develop themselves in whatever they want and wish to be. So that is my story, really. I came from humble beginnings. When I was in Africa, we had everything. We had housemaids, we had this and that. And then you come to the UK, things are changing. You're like, what? You're like, I was like, what's going on? You know? So I had to humble myself from the humble beginnings, you know. But yeah, so that's me. Thank you so much for coming to this book release party. And it is a party. And a celebration for me, anyway. So my next book, I'm already writing it. It's still about identity, but from a digital perspective, because I've seen a lot of people now identify themselves digitally, which is very, there's a lot of manipulation that's gone into the system to identify yourself. We've lost ourselves, actually. You know, there's no contact, there's no family contact, there's no friendship contact. People don't even call you no more. They're like, yeah, I WhatsApp you, innit? You know, I text you on my phone. So that's why. Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to call all my girls here. I want to call Dr. Mary. I want to call one of my university friends, close friend, Afia. I know she didn't want to come up, but I want to, come on, Afia, come on. Come on. I want to call Nina, I want to call Dr. Zoe, I want to call Haja to the front. Yeah. Dr. Zoe, come on, get Yes. You see, when I said to you guys, I stand on the shoulders of so many people. Some people are not even here because of transportation issues, but these ladies have had my back. You know when someone's got your back like that, and you're like, thank God. I want to thank all of you guys, actually. I don't want to cry because I've cried enough. I want to thank all of these ladies for having my back. You know, when someone really has your back, it's so wonderful to see, you know, that you can call a sister up and they will just, yes, okay. You know, they're there. I just want to thank you lot so much. And obviously, we are going to party after this. Okay? We're going to enjoy ourselves, and definitely, Lorenzo, thank you so much. This man that taking the time out, you know. Can anyone take their phone and take a picture of us here? Because I want to remember this. Can you?
Insta, baby, Insta.
Daniel, can you please take a picture? Thank you.
Hey, you know, don't move. Let's go. For the power lead, yeah? The power of the lady. Do it!
Wait 1 minute. I just want to say, right now I want to cut my cake and I want to call my family to cut my cake. 1 minute.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
I want to call Auntie Noah, I want to call Uncle Fred, I want to call my cousins.